I want to get to what the fire chief now is saying. This woman who, she's a lesbian. She wants you to know she's a lesbian. Yay, she's a lesbian in the first line of her fire chief bio. And she hired 2 other lesbians to work for her right under. Okay, great. Anyway, she is now potentially going to get fired. The Daily Mail had a report out at 4 p.m. on Friday saying she'd been fired. And then they had to update it saying, actually, it didn't go as planned. She went into the meeting with the mayor expecting to get fired. Somehow something happened in that room, they say, that led to her not getting fired. I don't know. But this woman, she knows how to fight fires, and she's doing it now on the air. And she is like, bitch, I'm not going down alone to the LA mayor. It's been pretty extraordinary to watch this woman, Crowley, fight back and tell us all, I've been trying to warn these morons that we needed more resources and that we were not in a position to do what we needed to be able to do. Her fire department got caught $17 million by this mayor in the last year's budget, but that's not all. So let me give you number 1, where she spoke to Fox LA on Friday, Hot 7.
Did the city of Los Angeles fail you and your department and our city?
It's my job to stand up as a chief and exactly say, justifiably, what the fire department needs to operate to meet the demands of the community.
Did they fail you?
That is our job, and I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Shots fired. Okay, then she goes over to Jake Tapper's show on CNN on Friday, and listen to this.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service. And having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact.
By the way, she went on. Like, that was not the only, like, she's unloading now, Stu. So good luck to Daniel Dale and Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass, who all just want to run cover for the Democratic leadership.
Yeah, it's funny how diversity was their most important thing, but as soon as it's going to be beneficial to them to blame a lesbian firefighter, they're going to be blaming her. I'm sure.
It's true.
It's really fascinating how that switches around. The DEI doesn't last all the way to accountability. I'm glad to see her out there talking like this, and it's funny because I think this kind of shows where conservatives come from on these DEI issues. If she's actually like the best firefighter for the job, fantastic. Be great. I don't care. Like, whoever it is, whatever skin color they have, whatever genitals they have, whichever genitals they like, whatever it is, I don't care. I want the fires put out. And I think it's really important that you have somebody who's at least stepping up publicly now and doing this while this is going on. I will say, I think we need to think a little deeper than that when it comes to what they can do. If you're having to be in this position and your state is letting you down now, don't wait until half of your city is ash before you start saying these things. Call them out publicly beforehand. Let people know. It might cost you your job. It's possible. But you could be saving thousands of lives, hundreds of lives. We don't know. You said that number is 24. As you said, Megyn, that number is going up. And it's going up by a lot. And I can't even imagine where it's going to end. It's a terrifying thought. So if you can get out in front of this, if you're in one of these positions, these things. I might not know this. Megyn Kelly might not know this because we can't follow the inner workings of every fire department around the country. But if you make us aware of it, we can talk about it and maybe draw attention to it before these tragedies happen.
I mean, just to give people an idea of scale, Manhattan is 14,000 acres. In LA, at least 17,000 acres have been burned to the ground, have been eliminated. They're gone. It's truly, it is shocking. I heard somebody saying it looks like Mars. It looks like the surface of Mars now, just burned embers. Think about it. An area bigger than the island of Manhattan. Think of if New York were just eliminated. It looks, forgive me, but it looks like a nuclear bomb hit the region and is just gone. Just a huge swath of one of our most beautiful cities is gone. So all these politicians are done. They don't appear to know it, but Mayor Bass, your career's over. You're probably going to be recalled and kicked out of office. There's a change.com petition with over 100,000 signatures. She's going. I don't know if she knows that. Gavin Newsom, same. You're effed. Stop telling us about the embers in your hair. It's over for you, my friend. I'm sorry, but your political career ended last week. Again, he's pretending like he doesn't know it. I'm here to tell you, you're done. The only question is what they do now. And I have to tell you, like, my friend who lives in California, whose house burned, this is my one woke friend. I love this woman dearly, but she's woke. And amazingly, we've maintained our friendship. We kind of just don't talk about these subjects much, but she's woke. And she's like, MK, everyone I know is ready to vote Republican. She's like, everyone I know, all of her woke friends, all of her Dem friends, she was like, we're all talking about how soon we can get Republican leadership into these offices. I mean, that is saying something.
It sure is. It's saying a lot. And I think you're right. I do have my doubts because I've seen California go down roads where I thought they might wake up and they haven't. But I think you're right in this circumstance. And I think it's because it's crossed some weird line for people. As I'm watching the footage of Los Angeles, burned to the ground, we were showing side-by-side photos of this and Nagasaki, and you can't really tell the difference other than one being black and white and one in color. And I feel like as a person who grew up in the United States, we're a little spoiled here, right? We have I think the best country that's ever existed. And I just look at this country as a place where something like this can't happen. And I realized as I was having that thought, how many times I've had that thought recently. Watching COVID happen, I thought that can't possibly happen. When Italy was going through those shutdowns, I remember thinking like that could never happen here. And then weeks later, where were we? Watching the withdrawal from Afghanistan, this can't be happening with America. Watching Maui burn, this can't be happening in America. But these things keep happening in America, Megyn, over and over and over again. This, I think, is deeper than Karen Bass or even Gavin Newsom, who's, I will agree with you, while the city was burning to the ground, so was Gavin Newsom 2028. And we can be thankful for that one little slice of this story. But this is happening a lot. And we have to make a major change. Thank God Trump is coming into office here in a week from today. Thank God that's happening. That's a piece of the puzzle, but it is bigger. I don't even think the president of the United States can handle a transition like that. It's going to take all of us to wake up and realize that we're going down a really dark road.
Two things. One, it's his vanity that makes him refuse to acknowledge reality. He's done. It's over, Gavin Newsom. It's over. It's his vanity. And that's why, the hair and the Meet the Press and Pod Save America, let me rehabilitate my own image. And Karen Bass, too. She promised she wouldn't take the overseas trips. She took the overseas trips. Jesse Kelly was here on Friday saying these people who run for local office tend to be middling and unimpressive. I'm putting it in nicer terms than Jesse did. And he said they use the taxpayer's dime to go on these boondoggles to see the world. They want you and me and my friend in LA to pay for their vacations so they can go around and see Ghana, which is super cool. And this woman, Karen Bass, is on record saying she says, when I first considered running for LA mayor and I realized I wasn't going to be able to take my trips to Africa, I first thought, I don't want to do that. I don't want to give that up. But, then I realized I'm going to have to do it. Well, she didn't do it. She's been over to Paris 3 times. Now she's like, it's because of the Olympics. I had to go see the Olympics. And she's back and forth to Ghana. So the vanity, right, of these players who we keep putting in office. You want somebody who's just a workhorse, again, like a DeSantis, who just wants to get in there and do a good job, who gets off on being patted on the back for his competency, not for his hair or how well-traveled he is. So, okay, that's number one. And then I want to show this, too, when we talk about Nagasaki and Mars and what it looks like now. There's this guy, he's on TikTok. His name, he goes by Selfish Chef. He doesn't give his real name. And he was coming back into the California region from, I think, Florida, where he'd been. Orlando. And look, so you can see he's filming. This is Saturday. Look at this. He saw LA, which was dark, and then you get to the fires burning. Just wait, because it goes on. You see a third of the city just completely on fire, truly as if a nuclear bomb has been dropped on Los Angeles. And it keeps going and going. Look, there's more and more and more. This was Saturday, Stu. This was Saturday. This wasn't Tuesday, the day that all the homes burned. This is ongoing. And the fucking governor goes on Pod Save America.
It's jaw-dropping. It looks like a disaster movie. There's a reason why they always place these disaster movies in LA and Los Angeles, because there's all these landmarks and things that you recognize. And, every movie with The Rock in it has, a bunch of buildings being knocked down in Los Angeles. This is what it looks like. It really looks like that in real life. And, it's shocking because, some level of pre-planning could have prevented a lot of this. We saw this with Caruso, who was able to protect the property that he owns, this mall, by hiring private firefighters and bringing them out and protecting a lot of the structures around this facility as well.
And with pre-positioned tanks of water.
Exactly. Now, I don't know. I know you were a lawyer. I don't know if you're a firefighter, Megyn, but you seem to understand the concept that water puts them out.
Because I'm too small. Okay? Message to the fellow women of America. I am too petite to fight fires. I'm strong enough for a 5'6" woman who's in relatively good shape. I can do stuff that the average person my size can do. But I can't fight fires because I can't lift men or anything over about 70 pounds over my shoulder. And that's even being generous to myself. Go ahead, Stu.
Well, you might be able to do every role, but you do seem to have nailed the idea that water puts fire out. And that is a really important thing that many in California apparently didn't understand. And look, he had a lot of resources, and by the way, this guy could have been mayor. You may have seen the DeSantis approach to this fire if he was. He could have been mayor, and he's not. And he has a lot of resources, but I would venture to say, despite his personal wealth, which is significant, he does not have the resources of the state of California at his disposal. And my guess is that if California actually prioritized this, as opposed to seeing how many lesbian firefighters they could hire and making sure their number one priority was diversity, which is what these fire departments were saying and these cities were saying leading up to this event. If your priority number one was instead making sure that if a fire began, if the conditions presented themselves where one could be coming, that we had hundreds, thousands of these trucks ready to go at our disposal. Number one, let's get this thing fired up so we can go and protect as many of these communities as possible. That's not to say there wouldn't be any damage. Look, nature has a pretty strong will, and it's not always easy to overcome. But mastery of these situations by human beings is how we've excelled.
Some therapists say that debt can make people feel desperate and helpless. We don't need a therapist to tell us that. That's obviously true. It can ruin your sleep. It can creep into your relationships. It can wreck your happiness. But there are ways to get help. You don't have to just sit and suffer alone and in silence. Let me tell you about Done With Debt. They have aggressive new strategies to end your debt fast. Done With Debt stands between you and your harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate to slash balances, eliminate interest, and stop the crushing penalties, all without loans or bankruptcy. Done With Debt has one goal: to wipe out your debt for good. Before you make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com. Speak with one of their strategists for free and tell them I sent you. But you do need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.